I was scarfing it down so much, and I hadn't eaten any food in the last couple of days, and my throat had tightened up, and with the salt, made it tightened even more.
It's Suga Snake Takes.
Welcome to the Suga Snake Takes with Jake Plummer, Rashad Evans, Mike Slavin, and I'm your host, Del Jolly. We're all part of Umbo, a functional mushroom company, and we've decided to come together to share meaningful stories that get you thinking, stories about sports, the future of athletic performance, and pretty much whatever we would like. So this is going to be our very first episode. I'm glad to be here with each of you. Jake, Rashad, Mike, thanks for joining us, and seems like there's some interesting backgrounds. Where are we all at today? Jake, where are you at today? That's where I want to be.
I am in North Idaho at Coeur d'Alene Lake. So if there's a bird or a boat that goes by, I'll rely upon Mike's skillful fingers to mute that out or go back and make sure that that's not what everybody hears. But I'm at our cabin with the family on the lake, man, in the trees, loving it.
I think we'll want to leave in those bird calls.
Please do.
Good atmosphere.
How about you, Rashad? Where are you at, man?
I'm in Buffalo, New York. Still seeing some of the smoke in the air from the wildfires that's in Canada. So it's a pretty interesting trip. I live in Niagara Falls, New York. Well, I'm from Niagara Falls, New York. So it's a quick little visit home.
Yeah, I saw that yesterday. New York had the worst air quality in the world yesterday or something. Yeah. I saw a bunch of pictures. Is it pretty gloom out there or what?
It's pretty gloom, man. It's pretty gloom even out here, and I guess it's going to get worse in the next couple of days because now all the smoke is now moving to Toronto. So,
gotcha.
Which is Mike, like 45 minutes from here.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Very close. Mike, where are you at, buddy?
I am in my apartment here in Lafayette, Colorado. I apologize for the terribly barren set. Getting everything ready for this. In the future, it'll look a little bit more lively, I hope. But excited for the conversation we'll have here today, and hopefully you won't even notice the backgrounds because it'll be so interesting.
Yeah, we need to get you a poster or something, dude.
Something. I know.
I'm in my yurt in Longmont, Colorado. Each of you have spent a lot of time in here, some longer experiences than others, but hanging in the yurt, I thought it'd be a little bit aesthetically pleasing to do this, and I got the Wi-Fi all the way out here from the house. So, but yeah, man, I'm excited to do this. I'm excited to kind of create a kind of a short, biteable clip that people could listen to on their drive to work. I mean, there's so many 3-hour podcast, and man, I don't have time for that. I know a lot of people don't, but we thought that this would be a great way to allow people to learn a little bit more about the Suga Snake and see what you guys have some good stories to tell us. And so on that note, as we start kicking these out, we'll kind of get a better flow to all these. But today's episode and theme is going to be things that you would eat 20 years ago that you would not touch today. So in saying these themes and giving Jake and Rashad an opportunity to kind of tell us some stories about back in the day or just some things that fans would like to know, we'll try to have a theme for each day. And today's is things you would eat 20 years ago that you wouldn't touch today. So, Jake, what do you got?
Well, yeah, Del, I think that as we get older, obviously, hopefully you evolve and change a little bit and realize what you put in your body and how it makes you feel. Hopefully some people get to that where they eat something and feel really bad the next day. Maybe you take stock of what you're eating or drink something and it makes you feel real bad the next day. But back then, I guess, it was 20 years ago, with the Broncos, we would work all week. We'd work out hard. We'd practice hard. We'd lift weights, do everything we could. Even some guys were going out partying hard during the week. Myself, I was pretty focused, but Fridays, once we were done with practice, the last little bit of of what we had to get done, usually some red zone installation, some reviewing of the game plan, and pretty light day. They would set out food for us to take as we left the facility. And I don't know who made these decisions. I think we may have had a nutritionist. That was kind of just someone there to help us if we needed to, ask questions about our diet. But Fridays on the little countertop spread out were boxes of none other than Popeye's chicken. And, I mean, Popeyes is fried chicken is pretty tasty, right? I mean, everybody likes a little fried chicken, but odd that after a Friday worked all in the haze in the barn, as they like to say, we'd come through and there'd be Popeye's chicken there. And at that point, you're so hungry, you don't care. You're eating whatever. And the rumor was that the players wanted it, the leaders of the team, a lot of guys that were the top guys, Rod Smith, Al Wilson, they wanted to have Popeyes. And Mr. Bolin liked Popeyes. That's what I remember. But I can remember just crushing some Popeyes. I love the beans and rice, like the little thing of beans and rice. So I'd be asking other people for their beans and rice. And then, the biscuits with the honey and butter. And, I wouldn't go near, Popeyes right now in this day and age. No offense to the Popeyes chicken or anything, but it's just the amount of grease, the amount of oil, the amount of salt and sodium. I just laugh when I think back to that was our leave the facility on Fridays, the day you're supposed to really ramp up your nutrition because the games are Sunday. And that's what we were provided with. And guys would just sit there and crush, get all slimy and oily and crush some Popeyes.
That's gross, man. I don't know if I never liked fried chicken like that from fast food like KFC or Popeyes. That's never been my jam. Not at all.
Well, yeah, I mean, I didn't get that growing up at all. So for me, I wasn't objecting to it. And, it was food. And at that point we were hungry. I don't think we were looking at the nutritional value necessarily, just looking at that it was protein, some carbs, and something to fill our stomachs and satiate that need to eat, because you got to eat when you're training.
Yeah, absolutely. Rashad, what about you? Got any ideas on you're probably cutting weight
Yeah.
in Michigan State or something? You couldn't have anything to eat.
Nah, well, one of my stories of the worst thing I ate comes from when I was at Michigan State. I've been cutting weight at this point for probably about 4 days. And I didn't have anything to eat in about 4 days. And I was just mostly on water, but very limited water. And the last couple of days were the last few pounds. And I was very, very, very tight with the water that I was drinking. So I wasn't getting much water in too. And finally get the weight off, make weight, big success. I was happy. And I decided to treat myself with none other than McDonald's. And it was quite the experience, because in my mind, I thought it was going to taste so much better than what it actually did. But when I got it, I scarfed down as much as I could. But before, I was scarfing it down so much, and I hadn't eaten any food in the last couple of days, and my throat had tightened up, and with the salt made it tightened even more. And as I'm swallowing this food, I can just feel it like scraping against my esophagus as it went down. And it gave me the worst burn for the rest, probably about 3 days. It felt as if I swallowed razors, because the salt just kind of killed my throat. And then the worst part about it was not even the fact that I had, my throat felt like I swallowed razors, but when I wrestled, I gasped worse than I've ever gasped before in my life, and I just couldn't figure it out. But I was like, dude, it's got to be something I ate. I thought it was because I cut weight, but it was because something I ate. I had zero energy. I hit a flat line when I was out there.
What weight did you wrestle at in college?
I was at 174.
How much were you cutting to get to that?
Man, it was a weekly thing for me. So I would get for me to eat normal in a week, I would get up to be about 185, maybe 190. And for me to get it back down, because we had to be within 7 pounds during the week. So I had to cut some weight during the week just so I can get within the cut and weight ratio that our coach likes to be in. So I would get up at least 10 pounds every single time.
So
Wow.
you made weight, and then you're like, I'm gonna walk into this match after eating McDonald's. Like, what was this, a duel, or what was the?
Yeah, it was a wrestling tournament. It was a wrestling tournament, and we made weight, and then you get a couple hours to kind of refresh yourself. And some people went home, and other people did other things. But I jumped in the car with my homeboys, and we went to McDonald's. And I thought, I thought I could handle it, but it was the worst. I mean, with that throat burning, gassing in the match, it gave me the runs afterwards. It was an absolute nightmare.
Did you win the match?
No, I didn't win the match. I got smashed.
Hey, so
What was the order? Was it a Big Mac?
It was a Big Mac. It was a Big Mac double, and I had the super size. This one they just super size, so I had the super size fries.
oh man, hey, I remember guys in high school walking around. They'd be cutting weight for wrestling. They'd always be spitting in a cup. Is there something to that? Why? I mean, what is the whole point of spitting into the cup?
Well, I mean, every little bit counts, right? So what you normally do is you get like some chewing tobacco, and you just spit in it all day, and you'd be surprised how much those little ounces come off to start to amount to, something that can actually equate to losing some serious weight.
Wow.
We use Jolly Ranchers.
Oh,
We have
yeah.
Jolly Ranchers. But I remember one time going to a wrestling tournament in high school, and I was, maybe a few ounces overweight. I weighed in at 5:30 in the morning,
Yeah.
and then I was like, oh, you've got another hour before you have to come back. So I'm like, oh, I'll just spit it off and pee it off, And so I was walking around, and I was avoiding my coach who wrestled at Iowa, like with Dan Gable. So he was pretty hard nosed. And he caught me in the hallways walking, just spitting in a cup. And he put his hand on my head. He's like, "You're not sweating?" And then he made me run up and down stairs. And I lost like 1.5 pounds when I weighed in after that. He was so pissed at me for just trying the spitting technique, but that shit doesn't work. Really, I mean, like you gotta work that weight off, man.
I mean, wrestling is so atrocious with making weight. I remember back in the day, they used to roll me in mats. So that way I'll run around the school and I'll get a nice little sweat. And then they'll roll me in the mat. So then that way I'll sweat the weight off.
Hey, so we had the opposite. We had to weigh in at the Broncos, and we had to make our weight. Like if you were under the weight, you were in trouble. I mean, some of the guys were. There was a couple guys that were a little bit bigger tight ends that would wear those the little plastic jackets. They'd wear that under their uniform and sweat like crazy. But there were certain guys who couldn't make weight, who were like under the weight, and they'd be told, you got to go eat. And so I guess that's the reason why, if you think about it, we had Popeyes there, is to keep those dudes that couldn't get the weight on, keep the weight on. Hey, however many calories you could get, they didn't care. So it's really wild. Like wrestlers, I always thought were really weird, walking around sweating and spitting and all that. And then it's the opposite for us, where I was always trying to like put on more weight. I wanted to be bigger, be stronger, and like be able to take the beating. But kind of the opposites there of two sports. Very interesting. While we both still have to go out and totally go crazy, like exert so much effort. Hard as hell, I imagine, as a wrestler without those calories to go out then and wrestle after you haven't been eating for a few days.
It's killer. I mean, the whole recovery is the biggest part of it. And it sounds like you had a good problem to have. I used to love, I would have loved to have been able to just have a little bit of something to eat or drink right before I had to make weight, because you know what I used to do? Me and Gray Maynard, we would cut weight. And we'll cut weight, so we knew that we'll drift off a little bit, but we'll cut about 1 pound extra in the bathroom in our hotel room, just so we can drink some Mountain Dew. It was the crazy.
Bro, you guys, you earned an extra 0.5 pound of Mountain Dew, huh?
Yeah, it was our ritual. We'll do it every time.
Did you guys hear that?
Real drum roll.
Yeah.
Oh, it's time. It's time. It's our first inaugural Suga Snake Showdown. I've got some questions for you guys.
Oh, boy.
Some related to what we're talking about, some other interesting trivia. So let's get this set up. We're gonna have some.
Look at Jake. He's stretching out. He's
getting ready.
He's
Took my lion's mane this morning, so I'm ready to have that enhanced neuronal cognitive pathways. Hopefully, I can answer some questions here.
I'm excited to see this
Suga Snake
setup
Showdown
here.
All right. All right. So a brief just review of the rules. Del will go first, then Jake, and then Rashad. So Del will have the first chance to answer the first question. If he gets it wrong, then Jake will have a second chance, and then Rashad. And then we'll move on to the next question, which will be Jake's question. And we'll kind of continue forward. It's just 4 questions for our inaugural Suga Snake Showdown. So hopefully you guys took your lion's mane tincture before we got on this call, so you got those neurons firing. And let's dive in. Okay, first question. Who famously said, "Train by day, Joe Rogan podcast by night, all day"? This is Joe Rogan uses it in the start of most of his podcasts. And was it A, Nate Diaz, B, Young Jamie, C, Nick Diaz, or D, Joey Diaz?
Oh man,
C.
He's cutting off. He's getting it. Rashad's cutting in front.
I thought it's my bad.
It's all right. It's all right. It's our first time.
Yeah, those points go to me because you can't change that score. So I let Rashad step in for me because I don't know who that is. I've heard it 100 times, but I wouldn't have. I didn't know. Is it Nick Diaz or Nate
You gotta
Diaz?
guess, man. You gotta take a guess, and then it's my turn.
I'm gonna go with Nick Diaz because that's what Rashad said.
All right. Let's see. Is it Nick Diaz? It is.
Man.
Yeah.
Nick Diaz.
Thanks, Rashad.
Damn it, Rashad.
No sugar for you, Dale.
100 points. Go to Dell, and here let's see this.
I'm trained by day, Joe Rogan podcast by night, all day.
Oh. Okay, I didn't know that was a thing. Like,
Yep. All right, so let's move on to our next question here, and this is Jake's question.
Feel free to answer it either one of you if you want to. Like,
Yeah. This is kind of a hard one. Who said, "I don't think there's anyone in the business that does it better than me"? Maybe Gregor McConnell. And your options are Diego Sanchez, Tito Ortiz, Chael Sonnen, Anderson Silva.
I'm gonna go with B. Tito.
B, you going with Tito Ortiz? Correct.
Oh, that's right, baby.
Gosh.
Tito.
Sometimes you just
Tito
know.
Ortiz. So Jake gets those 100 points. This was the little clip.
I go out and I do the diligent work. You know, I'm out doing the interviews. I'm out doing everything. It's not just the fact of getting in the cage and fighting, but going out and doing the promo to sell the fight. And I don't think there's anybody in this business that does it better than me. Maybe, was it Gregor McConnell or Conor McGregor? He does actually a really good job. There's
Good one.
Damn it, Tito, you moron.
Take Plummer and Rashad Revens. Jill Dolly.
All right, this is Rashad's question.
Oh, great.
We were talking about Popeyes earlier. So, as of April 2023, KFC has the most U.S. franchises, most U.S. chicken franchises, with Popeyes coming in second and Chick-fil-A coming in third. Which fried chicken company has the 4th most U.S. franchises? Our options are A, Buffalo Wild Wings, B, Bojangles, C, Church's Chicken, or D, Wingstop.
Ooh. The most franchises. Okay. I am going to go with Buffalo Wild Wings.
Shaw's going with Buffalo Wild Wings.
Nope.
Oh, it's
Correct.
oh,
Is Church's
No,
Chicken?
I know this one.
what? Wait, so
No.
that goes? Does that go
No,
to me now?
it goes to you, Del.
I'm gonna go with Bojangles because I never heard of it before until a couple weeks ago when Eric mentioned it, and I'm hoping that it's bigger, and I just don't know.
I was
Bojangles.
going with Bojangles.
Nope.
Incorrect.
Well, look at Jake. Look at the confidence on Jake.
Yeah.
Take me to church, baby. Take me to church
Jake,
and
what do you-
get me some religious chicken, some of that good old. What?
Incorrect.
Oh.
The correct answer is
What?
Wingstop.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Well,
Is it?
All
Yeah.
right.
Never had it.
So here's our last question going back to Dell. In the future, we might do more questions, but starting with our inaugural Suga Showdown with 4, which football player said "Yo soy fiesta" when asked by ESPN Deportes to describe his feeling after an AFC Championship victory? Was it Terrell Owens, Rob Gronkowski, Chad Johnson, or Joe Namath?
I'm gonna go with Rob Gronkowski because that dude's just so crazy. He's
That
just
goes
a
with
wild dude. No, Jake. That's my
Rob
B. Rob.
B. Rob Gronkowski.
oh,
That is correct.
Oh wow.
Yeah, there you
Got
go,
it.
Snake.
I thought for sure it was Ocho Cinco.
that's what I was going with.
Yeah, Ocho Cinco would be a good guess. One time I saw him. Oh,
Hola, me llamo Roberto. Sí, yo soy fiesta.
yeah, that checks out. One time I saw him smash a Steve Harvey Lego replica on New Year's because he was kind of hammered at the New Year's Eve show. And Steve Harvey's like, "I'll never work with that dude again." It was pretty wild. So
that concludes our inaugural Suga Snake Showdown. Congrats to Dell, the 200 points.
Are we gonna have a running
Yeah.
total?
He owes me the 100 points though.
Yeah, he got 300.
I would have gotten that,
Got
Rashad.
excited. I got excited, guys. Got to listen to the rules. Got to listen
Are
to
we
the
gonna have a
rules.
running total here for the whole time this goes on of like points, or just one and done?
I think we should have all-time leaderboards, but also maybe a chance to win individual sessions. But there also might be future tag team matchups where we bring in a guest.
Very nice.
So we'll have to see what happens. But yeah, great job, guys. And now this moves us over to Q&A. So as we've talked about this, we really want to engage the community a bit more, and so we've gathered some questions from Jake's community, Rashad's community, from the Get Umbo community. And so I'm going to pull up this question. This is actually a question, for all of you to answer. And we'll say, Del, since you were our victor, perhaps you'll take the first shot here. This is from Lulu Chiles Lia. Yeah, when you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I wanted to be a herpetologist. I wanted to. I'd catch snakes all the time. They're always my favorite. So when I was younger, I wanted to be a herpetologist. When I was between the ages of 8 and 15, if you wanted to find me, I was out looking for snakes, turtles, and frogs. So it's interesting that I'm hanging with a snake all the time now. And I love sugar too. So as all kids do.
What about you, Jake?
That's weird because when I was a kid, I always wanted to be an NFL football player, a professional athlete. So, that was my dream as a youngster. And so I guess I haven't grown up yet. So, if I'm still in that state of what I want to be when I grow up is, I want to be an artist, an actor. So I always liked doing art when I was a kid, loved to draw, and, acting was always a lot of fun. When I got into sports, that's what took up most of my time. So kind of dedicated my life to trying to win a Super Bowl. And that's what I wanted to be when I grew up. Little did I know that wasn't really when I was growing up. I'm still growing up.
Nice. What about you, Rashad?
I wanted to be a police officer. I had one of my mentors was my karate instructor, and he was a police officer, and I just thought he was the coolest thing ever. I mean, not only could he kick ass, he can also arrest people. And he was just the coolest guy. His name was Carl Brasino, and that's what I wanted to do. You know, Cops is my favorite show, and I wanted to go out there and fight crime.
Nice. Where's Carl today? Do you know where Carl is? He around
Carl is
or?
still a cop in Niagara Falls. He's still a cop in Niagara Falls.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, cool. So that's gonna conclude our very first episode of Suga Snake's Takes, and really glad to do this with you guys. A lot of fun doing this. Looking forward to seeing where this kind of evolves into. But that was a lot of fun, and we'll catch you all on the flip side.
Peace out.
See you guys.